All right, everybody, we're back here again, this time with our final 1980s Ozzy Osbourne album review. None other than 1989's No Rest for the Wicked. Super cool album cover, one of my favorite Ozzy album covers. Really wicked. No pun intended, actually, there. But, man, what a record. What a heavy record to cap out the 80s with. And you got a lineup change. You got Bob Daisley back again on bass. Although he would... See, there's the weird thing about Bob Daisley is, from what I've seen, he doesn't really tour with them a lot. I think Rudy Sarzo toured during, the first two albums. And then, of course, I'm not really sure who did it on The Bark at the Moon. Then, of course, Phil Soussan on Ultimate Sin. And then on this one, Ozzy's buddy, Black Sabbath bassist Geezer Butler, would tour. And, of course, he would end up being on an album later on for Ozzy. But, and then you've got a new guitar player. I think he was only 18 years old at this time, Mr. Zakk Wylde. Super awesome shredder. I actually think this is probably his best guitar work, because he was just, I guess it was just his ambition. He was young and hungry. But, this album, before I get into the tracks and all that, this album, Ultimate Sin is underrated and all. I think this one's possibly even more underrated, because at least Ultimate Sin is controversial enough that it gets talked about. People don't really talk about this one. It's kind of a slung in between a controversial one, Ultimate Sin, and a mega album like No More Tears. But, I think this one's a super underrated album. And an amazing production, and probably the heaviest album up to this point, and one of Ozzy's heaviest albums, period, if you ask me. Just with the guitar tone and all that. And lyric. Really cool lyric themes. Like with the first track, Miracle Man. I love the guitar sound in this thing. Just the clean but heaviness. Zakk Wylde just absolutely nails it with the riffs on this album, especially Miracle Man. And really cool lyrical content. Talk about it I forget the name of him, like an old televangelist that got caught or something. Back in the 80s, so that was pretty cool little social commentary from the band. And the production, again, I gotta bring it up because this record sounds so modern. Like you could pump it out today and people would be like, okay, well, it would fit right. Like it's such a smooth production. You can hear all the instruments just fine, and they're just mixed in just a perfect way, in my opinion. Then you've got Devil's Daughter, another really cool one. Really heavy riff yet again from Mr. Zakk Wylde. And I like the lyrics on this one too. Then you've got Crazy Babies. I think that one had a music video for this album. I'm not sure if any other ones did. Miracle Man may have, I can't remember. But Crazy Babies did, and that one's really I like the lyrics on this one, really kind of describes Ozzy's life, especially at this time. Being a wild child and all that. So he was quite the party guy at this point, and really out of control, which ended up, would lead to him retiring after his what was going to be his last album, No More Tears. But that would kind of do his lifestyle and to clean it all up and all that. Then you've got one of my favorites off here, Breaking All the Rules. We're talking about a freaking killer riff right there. Oh, that is heavy. That's probably the heaviest track on this album. And I love the ending where there's kind of this bluesy kind of groove to it. And, the background vocals of Zakk Wylde, which I think he does an incredible job on. Probably, I think he does some of the best, background vocals and than anybody than any of the other guitar players ever did, if they did them. But yeah, I love, the background vocals on that. And the solos are killer, too. Very... just super fast solos. And also want to mention again, or not again, I've not mentioned it yet, but Zakk Wylde's pinch harmonics, his little squeals going on. I know a lot of people think it's too much or whatever, but on this album, it really does just kind of, it fits perfectly. It was such a new kind of thing at the time too. You didn't really hear that type of playing that often. And I don't really mind his type playing at all. It's kind of just a signature of his, kind of like Yngwie does, his neoclassical runs, a lot of the same scales, but that's just kind of that's Yngwie, and you can always tell if you're listening to Zakk Wylde. Anyways, then we've got another really cool cool lyrics in this track, Bloodbath in Paradise, another one of my favorites. It's actually about the Manson family murders. So that's really cool lyrics. Again, heavy musically and heavy lyrically with stuff like that. Really cool concepts. Then you've got, this one might be my favorite off here, Fire in the Sky, the kind of epic, almost ballady type thing on here. And this, you talk about, the production just shines on that track. I mean, it's just beautiful. This is also some of the best vocal work I think Ozzy's ever done, period, on this album. He hits some crazy notes and just has such a clean and crisp sound on this record. Then you've got Tattooed Dancer, which is kind of a fun one with in the main verse and stuff. It's got like the pinch harmonics, but like a darker kind of sound to it. Then we've got the final track, Demon Alcohol. Cool way to end it. Again, kind of talking about Ozzy's party life during this time when he was just going crazy. And you know, I wish they counted because I love the 2 tracks that were added on the remaster. But The Liar and Hero, those are 2 of like just incredible songs too. And I wish they would actually be considered on the album. But this is original press, so they're not featured on this thing. So I can't really count them, but I do love those songs. I just thought I'd mention that because those are 2. If they were on here, those would be probably some of my favorites off here as well. But not a bad track. All of these are standouts on here. Such an incredibly underrated record, and man, it shocks me, honestly. I mean, you think this one would be more renowned than like some of the other ones, or it's not really a controversial album or anything. It's just pure heavy metal Ozzy. So I freaking love this record. And I would love to hear what everybody else thinks about this one, but since it's not really talked about as much. But anyways, yeah. Next time, we're entering the 90s with No More Tears. You talk about a highly rated album by most people. And you'll see what I think about it next time. And, I've kind of talked about the production a little bit before in a previous video, so you kind of know how I feel about that album if you've seen some of my other stuff. But, yeah, I'm hyped to go on to this next little step in the Ozzy stuff, and there's only, 2 90s records. So we'll kind of fly through that. But anyways, thanks, guys. I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts and such on this.